Hey guys, Louie here, and it is Sunday. I think it's the March 15th. I'm just walking around the front yard early in the morning, and I wanted to give some thoughts about how to prepare, not prepping. This is some life thoughts and just a bit of background since I'm older and my father lived through the Depression and World War II and some really troubling times. He lost about 20 years. Let's see. No, let's see. You had the 30s, then you had the 40s. He lost about 25 years to chaos in the world. Okay, he was a young man during the Great Depression, and he told me a lot of the stories that happened. So here are some life thoughts. First off, uh, things are pretty bleak, and they appear to be getting a little bit bleaker. It's amazing how much can happen over a couple of days, and I'm not talking about toilet paper and empty store shelves. I'm talking about the news of community spread in my community. The cases are starting to pop up everywhere, seemingly exponentially, although there's still only, you know, less than a dozen. But we have the military to worry about. I said to my wife the other day, why are we not hearing about all of the outstationed military from the Middle East and everywhere else around the world? What's going on with the military? Well, sure enough, then a sailor came down with it yesterday on the news where I live. And, so it's clearly coming, and isolation is a good idea. But I don't want to talk about that. You've seen 100 videos. The bird feeder fell down, and the birds are still pecking away there. Clearly tough times are coming. Clearly, kids will not be back in school for some time. But as I usually do, I like to focus on the economy and preserving your assets, right? And preserving your lives. And there are lots of channels that'll talk about prepping. And here I've got this couple acres. I haven't planted a single thing because I have a job, right? My wife is not a farmer. Maybe my son can help now that he's out of school. But lessons from the Great Depression, all right? One of the keys to surviving the Great Depression was work, all right? Work was hard to get. And in an environment where so many businesses are going to be shuttering, laying off, furloughing, the first piece of advice I'd like to give you is don't give up your job. Now, stay safe, right? If your job is unsafe and you feel it exposes you, or if you're compromised in some way, you definitely don't do that job. But income is going to be so important, all right? I doubt there'll be much left of the stock market by the time we get done with this. And of course, I've been recommending for years that you not play that roulette wheel. Let's say that you lose everything, and back, in the Great Depression, people didn't have a lot of assets. My family, they were Italian immigrants, and they didn't have a lot of money. So here's what happened to them. They during the Great Depression, people lost their jobs, and people would work any job they could. They would travel from city to city. That's where the hobos came from, riding the rails. Well, why do you think they were riding the rails? They were looking for work so they could send $1 home to their family to keep them with food, right? And there wasn't necessarily food banks and welfare and all those other things. So first and foremost, I guess if you have assets, protect those assets, all right? Get them into a place where you feel they're secure. I'll leave that up to you. If you have no assets, but you have a 401k at a company, and again, you have nothing, right? Okay, before you ride this thing all the way down, which I think is what's going to happen here, or at least substantially down, consider, again, for people with no assets, with people that have got everything in their 401k, they've been good little citizens and they've done what they're told, they've been saving in their 401k, consider a loan. All right, you can get the money from your 401ks in probably 5 working days as a loan. Don't take it out as a hardship. Don't take it out as an early withdrawal. Don't take the penalties. Don't pay the taxes. But you can easily take a loan on your 401ks if you have no other assets. In any way you can, raise cash. And metals are important as well, but cash is going to be important also, because it will disappear, right? It will be hard to get because people won't be earning it. So think about that. If you have no cash and you have a means of raising some cash, rates of return and prudent financial advice, and Dave Ramsey and all that stuff. Okay, Dave Ramsey didn't live through the Great Depression, right? And he is oblivious to the magnitude of what is happening right now, and what could happen. Not recession, depression, a world reset of some kind. You just can't disrupt everything everywhere in the entire world and have things work out okay. So I was going to say, my father was the eldest son of the family, and what they did is they had to hunker down. They had to hunker down. No one had work, okay? But luckily, my dad, kept his job in a furniture company, and all through the Depression, and that one check kept an entire household fed and utilities on, and pay the mortgage and whatnot. That one little job, that one check, managed to get them through the hardest times the country had known in hundreds of years. So before you quit your job, I know you've got child care issues and whatnot, but consider retaining your employment any way you can. Now, your supervisor may come to you and say, do you want to work from home? Do you want an alternate work schedule? Night shift, whatever that might be. Again, if it's a safe environment, take the work. Take the work and get the cash right now. You may need it. All right. Times can get much rougher from where we are, and most people have never seen it. If there is a way for your family to congregate with other family members, maybe in a rural setting, you may want to consider that as an option so that you can reduce expenses. Now, if you're going out there and you're hunting for supplies and you're standing in 2-hour lines at Costco and whatnot, realize that you could be exposing yourself to this thing. All right, take extreme precautions when you're mingling with other people, when you're touching things. Also, anything you bring home, depending on where you think it was manufactured. I don't think all those goods have made it here yet, but you're going to want to wipe down anything you've ordered, anything you've brought home. Don't bring this stuff into your house, realizing that things come from all over the world, and there is definitely lots of spread all over the world. So try not to do that if you can. Hopefully you're prepared already. Oh, there's a hummingbird. And then also take a moment to relax, reassure the children. The kids are starting to get panicked because the parents are starting to panic. So I think it's a good time to tell your kids that everything's going to be okay, that they're safe. You're gonna make it through this, and it may take a little longer than you thought, but everything will be just fine. So moving on. Um, Again, if you're in employment right now and you have a job, and let's say that that job has furloughed you, don't wait to find another job. All right, income is going to be so important that whatever your skill set is, if you can find employment somewhere that you don't think will close. I think food stores are probably pretty secure in terms of staying open, or whatever your particular skill is. Get yourself another job immediately. You don't want to be part of the 80% of Americans that can't find work, unless you believe the government is there to bail you out. Um, I think you'd rather be self-reliant and maintain your employment, whatever you can do. If you're in the midst of changing jobs, hunker down. Probably not a good time to be changing jobs either. Just uh, just consider that you will need that income when things start to slow down. And they are slowing down. The container ships are slowing down. The product chain is slowing down. Things may come back on the shelves, but there's going to be a major disruption. If there's something you absolutely need, whether it be electronics, or of course prescriptions, do take care of that, right? Get yourself ready for the supply chain disruption. Look at that sky. Doesn't help that it's like, going to rain for like 5 days. I really, the rain gets so annoying at this time. Um, all right, so what else about the Great Depression and the government's ability to hold it off? Well, I applaud some of the recent measures, but clearly it will not be enough. It will not be enough. The government is not going to save you. They may defer your student loans. They may allow you to skip, a few mortgage payments, but don't plan on the government helping you. In the 2008 recession, um, most people I know lost their homes entirely and gave them back to the banks. Um, some of the really tenacious people, I know one lawyer that stopped paying his mortgage for 2 years and then just said he wouldn't leave. And ultimately, he got a reset on the price of his home, the mortgage, and everything. But he was really the exception. And, I always thought that was not the way I want to live life. I don't want to owe anybody anything. Um, so do prepare with some cash. I think there could be some restrictions on cash here, and the underground economy is going to get going here. The bartering economy. So hopefully you have something to barter. I was at the old house the other day, and we had an orchard full of citrus, and we picked as much as we could, and I brought it all home, and so now I have a garage full of citrus. Not a lot of toilet paper, but I do have citrus. Um, in regard to your immunity, it's a good time to build up your immunity. Now, I do believe in vitamin C and of course vitamin D. I've also ordered wheatgrass, flash frozen wheatgrass, and I've talked about that years ago. But I do think that wheatgrass is a great way to build your immunity. A very real and potent and powerful um, nutrient. So I'll be going on that daily, just to try to bring up my immunity level. And when you are going to work, keep yourself safe. Practice safe hygiene. You never know who's touched what in your environment. At my office, we have instituted wipe downs every 2 hours of all public areas. And of course, we're not encouraging the public to come into our business office, but even among ourselves, somebody somewhere is going to bring this in to you. It's going to come to you. You may not even come to it. And so definitely, practice sanitation around even around your own home, but definitely at the office if you can, within your car. Um, and if you're standing in those long lines, realize that every time you leave the house and you get into a public situation, you have potential for exposure, and then you won't be working, right? And will there be disability insurance and income continuation and what no, and unemployment and unemployment insurance extensions? Yes, I think we'll see all those things, but you really don't want to be, those people that are trapped in their home, sick, and the bills piling up. I guarantee the bills are going to keep rolling in, and they're going to get pink, and then they're going to get red, and just be wary of the fact that you really want to avoid at all costs, and then hunker down and try to make it through. My dad talked about it all the time, that we make fun of boomers, and actually, boomers aren't necessarily the greatest generation. The generation before, my dad was the generation before. Oh, here comes the dog.
Hi.
Good morning. Good morning. Hello. Hello. Big kisses, big hugs. And get yourself a big dumb dog to come and lick you and kiss you and protect you. Yeah, don't forget about the pets, okay? You don't know where the supply chain is going to break. So if you have a monstrous dog that eats a pound a day, you may want to consider getting stocked up with the pet food as well. Think about the things that you consume, and definitely build those up in your supplies. All right, and if you stay ahead of the madness, people now are thinking about first things first. But if you can get about 3 steps ahead in your thinking process, if the shelves were going to empty, what things would you absolutely really miss? All right, and whether that be dog food or cat food or butter or syrup. I like to cook, and I like sweets as well. And so I think I'm going to buy me a mess of flour and sugar and butter. And hey, get out of the flower beds. Get out of the flower beds. We ought to be growing corn in there, not flour. Bonnie, get out of there. Get out of there. Doggone it. So you can make some cookies, maybe some chocolate chip morsels. But think about, your creature comforts as well, the things that get you through the night and get you through hard times. And hopefully you do like to cook, but even if you don't, have some supplies on hand. Okay, well, I guess I'm going to wrap this up. I thought I had more to say, but anyway, plan for things, and hopefully I'm wrong. I'm completely wrong. But plan for the stock market to keep going down until it's gone. All right, until it's gone. Plan for the banks to start limiting cash withdrawals. Plan for things that you rely on to close. If you're someone that eats out, whatnot, well, you better stock up on frozen foods, because there may not be a lot of eating out here in the future. Just hunker down. We'll make it through, but let's plan for the worst and hope for the best. And the worst, as my father found out, was life changing. Changed his entire life, growing up through the Depression, and then being shipped off to war in the Pacific. I hope it doesn't come to that, but we're breaking everything as we speak, and putting it back together is going to be difficult. And just because you see things on the shelves today, okay, realize that those things will disappear and there won't be new things in their place. All right? So think ahead of the crowd, raise some cash, and don't lose your job. All right, guys, talk to you later. Have a great day, and the sun will shine, hopefully. Okay, bye.